guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin if you're new here, and today's video is going to be a wrap up of my 2020 favorites. And favorites videos are very popular on YouTube, as I'm sure you know, but this is my first time filming one, so I thought, what better way to film my first favorites video than to just consolidate all my 2020 favorites into one video. So that's what I'm gonna do today, and I decided to only pick out 10 favorites, and the favorites cover a variety of categories from skincare to makeup to TV shows, lifestyle things, and I decided to only pick 10 because honestly, like, what happened in 2020? Like, I feel like I didn't do enough things, and I'm sure you know you could agree watching this, but I didn't do enough things or you know, use enough of my products or clothing or anything like that to like really have a wide variety of favorites, because again, like, I kind of lived the same day over and over and over again for like 6 months straight, like in the middle of 2020 there. So yeah, really excited to film this video. Also, if you watched my last video, which was my pack with me for my Montana vacation video, which I'll have linked up above, and you're like, Caitlin, why haven't you released your Montana vlog yet? Because you said you would film one. I still have all the footage. I am going to put it together and create that video for you guys, but that was my first time filming like a vacation vlog, and oh my god, like, I did not realize how much footage I was going to walk away with and how many pictures and other things I wanted to add to like really make the video as high quality as I wanted it to be. So that is going to go ahead and be next week's video. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe down below if you want to see my Montana winter Christmas vacation vlog. It is a Christmas vlog, but like not too Christmassy, so you should still enjoy watching it in January when it does come out. But yeah, that was just... our flight got canceled, and that led to me not having a full weekend to edit it like I wanted to, and then I just got thrown into the work week, and yeah, so that will be up next weekend, next Sunday, so I will see you there. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this favorites video. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off with skincare and beauty products, and the way that I'm going to put these in order is in the order that I would put them on my face in a day. And so my first favorite is kind of, it's these two combined. It is the Oola Hendrickson, I believe that's how you pronounce it, the Oola Hendrickson Sea Rush Brightening Gel Cream and the corresponding Banana Bright Eye Cream. So this is the moisturizer, and it is a daytime moisturizer. I believe that you can actually use it at night as well. If it'll focus, yeah, as you can see, this is my second tub of this, and it's almost done. I just ordered another one. And the eye cream is a sort of similar consistency and color, but just it's focusing on my face, but just in eye cream form. There we go, finally got it to focus on the eye cream. But these products have been out for a little while now. I believe they were released in like late 2018 or early 2019. But I put these on first thing in the morning as the first step of my skincare routine after I like rinse my face off. And actually, just for some context, my face is acne prone, like it's 100% acne prone, but it used to be oily, like back when I was in like college, but I've noticed this year it has slowly transitioned from oily to combination to actually my dry skin. Like my skin is dry, and that's something that I never experienced before. I figured it's probably just has to do with me getting older and not being like such a hormonal teenager anymore. I'm 23. And I like these products because they're just thick enough where when I put them on in the morning, my dry skin feels moisturized, but they're not so thick that like when I put it on, I have to wait like 10 minutes before it dries down and I can start putting my makeup on. And the smell is just, it's just incredible. And that's probably the first thing that drew me to it, because these products were like really popular when they first came out. Like a whole bunch of different YouTubers were doing videos about them. So that's what got me to try the products in the first place. And I've never had an issue with dullness in my skin until recently. Like I said, my skin recently went from oily to dry, and I never really thought that I would need vitamin C in my day-to-day skincare routine, but something about this, it just wakes me up, it smells amazing, and it really does brighten my skin. Like, I don't feel like ashy, or because I'm so pale naturally, my skin can kind of honestly look a little bit gray if it's dry and flaky. Sounds weird, but true. And so if you haven't already smelled this or seen it in Sephora, because that's where I picked this up from, I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a new facial moisturizer that brightens your face, wakes you up in the morning, and smells really good. I would definitely recommend these two products, especially together, if you're looking for a new daily moisturizer and daily eye cream. So this next product is not a new product by any means, but it is new to me, and that is the Super Goop Unseen Sunscreen SPF 40. It's promoted as a broad spectrum sunscreen, but I actually use it, I double it as sunscreen and my face primer in the morning. This is really bad, but I never wore face sunscreen on a day-to-day basis, which, like, obviously I am very Caucasian, fair skin, and I would only wear sunscreen if it was like I knew I'd be outside all day or I'd be going to the beach or whatever. And I just read so many articles about, like, even if you're inside, even if you're just running errands, even if you're just going to work, you need to put on a sunscreen onto your face every single day. It is like the #1 key in anti-aging. And you know, I'm only 23, like I said, but I really do believe that the best approach to an anti-aging skincare routine is you'd rather be proactive than reactive. So I don't want to look at my life like 20 years from now and think, man, I really should have been putting on sunscreen in my early 20s. So that's why I got this. So this definitely fulfills the role of a primer and a sunscreen because it is kind of like a silicone-y type feel when you put it on your face. So it feels kind of pore filling. I'm not sure if it actually is. I mean, again, I'm acne prone and it doesn't break me out, but it gives my face that nice smooth base that makeup applies over really nicely. So if you're in your 20s or any age and you're not wearing a face sunscreen, pick up a face sunscreen. It doesn't have to be this one, but if you also want to have a face sunscreen that doubles as a makeup primer, I would highly recommend picking this one up. All right, so this next favorite of mine is another skincare favorite, and it's not specifically this product, which I'll show you in a second. It's more sort of a category of facial skincare products, and that is retinol. And I have never used retinol before late 2019, and I started using the Ordinary, I believe it's the 2% Grand Active retinol. Unfortunately, I bought that product one time, loved it, and then 2020 hit and it just never went back into stock ever again. Apparently the Ordinary has been like really struggling with demand and like the supply chain during 2020, as a lot of companies have been. But I've been like stalking Sephora for months, and every single time that I go on, like probably like once a week, the Grand Active retinol is out of stock. So what I have been using more than the Grand Active, even though I like the Ordinary one better, is this Inky List retinol, and it does the job. Like I do enjoy it, and like I said, I have been using this probably for like a full 12 months now, while the other one I used for like 3 months before it ran out. Retinol is something that, it says right here, helps reduce the signs of aging, and it's also a product that can be used to combat acne. And so when I was starting off 2020, and I knew I wanted to really up my skincare game, and I had the money to do so because I had just gotten a job. To be fair, you don't need a lot of money to get a good skincare routine, but I digress. Something that I wanted to introduce into my regimen was retinol because I am acne prone, like 100%, and I also experienced a lot of sun damage as a child, and that was mostly my fault. I mean, maybe not so much as a child, more like when I was a teenager. For those who don't know, I was born and raised on Oahu, Hawaii, like from birth to my first year of college. And when you live there, you have like a totally outdoors lifestyle. And you know, my parents put as much sunscreen on us as they could as a child. I'm a triplet, so imagine having to sunscreen 3 screaming children at the same time. But like as I got older into like my teenage years in high school, like it wasn't the cool thing to put on sunscreen, and I really wanted to be as dark and tan as like all my friends who were really dark, and like some of them were like Hapa, so like half Asian, half Hawaiian, half white, you know, whatever the case may be. So I was a really pale white girl growing up in Hawaii, and that really, I was something I was really self-conscious of. So I tanned a lot, like whether I full on was tanning outside or it was just because I was in the ocean, I didn't put on sunscreen and I was surfing or something. So I have started noticing like small signs of aging on my face, like mostly around my eyes, which to be fair, like I'm a very facially expressive person, so that's probably mostly from smiling. Like I'm definitely like an eye crinkler when I smile. Hopefully that wasn't too cringy. But again, like I said with the sunscreen, my standpoint on anti-aging is it's better to be proactive rather than reactive. So if you're in the same boat as me and you're acne prone, but you're also starting to think about fighting aging, I would definitely recommend picking up a retinol. There are some really expensive retinol options out there, like in the hundreds of dollars plus, but you don't need to do that. I would definitely recommend either the ordinary retinol or this Inky-less retinol. And I did go through the retinol purge. If you're not familiar, I haven't even said what this product does. What retinol does is, and I'm no skincare expert, so please do research on your own, but it increases the cell turnover on your face. So I don't remember what the exact number is, but I believe your face takes like a month to fully regenerate the cells, like for the top layer of your skin cells to be a completely different set of cells. And this, or retinol or vitamin A in general, speeds up that process. So when you're first starting out on retinol, they say do not use it every day, use it like every other day or every 2 days or whatever. And that's because your skin will go through a purging phase, and that's because all of the impurities, whether it's acne or like flaky skin or irritated skin, like it's pushed to the surface, and it's a really shitty phase to be in. Like I said, I used this in late 2019, and it took honestly for me like 3 months for the purging phase to stop. Like I was getting horrific acne, like the kind of acne where like when you cover it up with makeup you can still see it because the texture was so horrible. Honestly, it was like rash acne. It was like itchy and flaky and red and like really itchy. It was bad. But once I got through the purging phase, it was so worth it. Like I never really thought about my skin's texture before, but my skin now is like so much smoother. It's faded any sort of like red marks, because when I scar, my skin scars red. I guess that's just because of my genetics. Or like pink, like it's faded all of my scarring. Not that I had much. It doesn't fade my freckles though, which I do like because I do like my freckles, but I've definitely noticed a huge difference in my skin texture, the amount of acne that I get, and I just swear by retinol now. I'm at the point now where I can do 2 nights using retinol, 1 night no retinol, 2 nights on, 1 night off. So, you know, if you're thinking about retinol and you're not sure, I would recommend it, especially because, you know, it sounds like for the beginning part of 2021, we will probably still be working mostly from home or wearing face masks. So that's kind of nice, because when I was going through the purging stage, it was like right before COVID hit and no one was wearing masks and we were still all like out and about. So like my acne and the purging phase of the retinol was a lot more like visible to the public. I got through it, but if you're thinking about it, start it now when we're wearing masks and we're at home and you don't feel so exposed as your skin sort of is like getting rid of all the impurities. So this next product I actually don't have with me because I just finished using up my last tube of it, but I'll put a picture up here. It is the Fresh Umbreon Clay face mask. I don't know if there's more words in like the product name than that, but again, I'll put a picture here. And I absolutely loved it because, okay, so I still did struggle with acne this year, but I learned that as my skin was changing from oily to drier, and my acne changed as well. It changed from like more oily, like teenage whiteheads to like little bumps all over like my chin and my forehead and even my cheeks, which I don't really get breakouts on my cheeks. And they weren't whiteheads. It wasn't like something that you could pop, which I was a skin picker. I finally broke that habit in 2020, which is something that I'm really proud of. But I used to be a skin picker and like I would pop my pimples and stuff like that. But it was almost worse than like the whiteheads because you couldn't do anything about them unless I was to go get them like professionally extracted or anything. But this Fresh Umbreon face mask is the best mud mask that I've ever tried. Like if you're experiencing skin that it doesn't really, I don't know if you could call it full-blown acne, but it's congested skin is sort of what the Fresh clay mask is really good for. Like I said, when you just got those bumps over your face and you're like, my skin just feels like stuffed up and like I can't really, like a physical exfoliant wouldn't really do anything. If anything, it would just make it worse. I would definitely recommend the Fresh Umbreon clay mask. It is, I have not used another mask, and I've used a lot of mud masks. I've not used another like acne mud mask that has done so much work to just like clear out and like decongest my pores. If you are struggling with your skin in that way, I would highly recommend the Fresh Umbreon clay mask. Okay, so next up I want to move into 2 makeup products, and I'm only going to go on about 2 makeup products because for the millionth time, didn't go outside that much this year, kind of lived the same day over and over again. So while I do really enjoy doing my makeup, there weren't enough products that I could really say were my favorites because I had worn them a lot. So the first one is actually a foundation that is, again, not new, but new to me, and that is the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. And I was really surprised that I enjoyed this foundation because for the millionth time, I am acne prone, and this is considered a light to medium coverage foundation, and it's really liquidy. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but I don't know, could you hear that? It's really, really liquidy and lightweight, but the reason that I love it is because it looks so natural on the skin. Like, it looks like you're not wearing any makeup. And quick backstory about my acne, because I keep going on and on about it, but you know, it was the driving factor that determined a lot of my skincare and makeup choices. As my skin transitioned, you know, from oily to dry, different types of acne, something that I realized is that my skin is not as acne prone as it used to be, but a lot of the reasons why I was breaking out this year were self-inflicted. Like I said, I was a skin picker and like I was popping my pimples, and as soon as I broke that habit, oh my gosh, the difference that it made in my skin, like I can't believe how much I was like just hurting it and making like tiny little breakouts like so much of a bigger deal because I was trying to like pop them. Again, I know that's gross, but I know I'm not the only one out there that picks my skin. So if you pick your skin and pop your pimples, stop that right now. I do not care how hygienically you think you're doing it. Don't do it. But anyways, as I started to realize like, oh my gosh, like I stopped picking my skin, I really cut down on my sugar intake, which was like night and day for my skin. Like, sugar, if you don't know, is really, really inflammatory, and so if you're already acne prone, it just takes any breakouts that you might have on your face and like doubles them because it adds inflammation. What else? There was a point in the middle of lockdown when I just straight up was not doing my skincare routine, and then like a week later I'd be like, why does my face look terrible? It's like, oh, I don't know, because you haven't done your skincare routine for the last 7 days. So once I sort of sorted all of that out, probably like around September of 2020, my skin cleared up so much. So that's why I was able to transition to a lot more of a lightweight, natural looking foundation. I really, really recommend it. So if you are suffering from acne and you're putting so much like foundation and like makeup on your face and it just looks cakey and horrible, stop picking your face, reduce your sugar intake, and what was the last one? Actually do your skincare routine and get 8 hours of sleep at a night. That's really important. And you'll be able to stop caking on so much product on your face, and then it won't be so flaky and horrible. So definitely recommend this foundation. Okay, so this next favorite is also in the realm of like facial makeup, you know, complexion, all that good stuff. And it is a finishing spray, and it is the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. Not sure if that's zooming in. I never really thought it was like a necessary step of a skincare routine. I didn't really have the money to have like a ton of makeup products and a ton of steps when I was in college. And then I had like 9 months where I was out of college. Then COVID hit. I wasn't even doing makeup when we were in lockdown. It wasn't until like probably July that I started using this. And it was because I was really, really struggling with my skin for the reasons that I just mentioned, you know, picking it, eating a ton of sugar, not sleeping, not doing my skincare routine, all this stuff. And at the time, I was still using the Fenty Foundation, the first foundation that Rihanna ever released with Fenty. It's like the matte and poreless foundation or whatever. I liked that foundation when I was in college because it is pretty high coverage and it does cover like a lot of stuff on your skin. But I don't know if maybe the formula had just changed because I had that one bottle of foundation for like I think over a year. So I'm not sure if maybe it started to go off or just because my skin had changed so much. But like every time I put it on, like it, no matter how I applied it, what primer I used, how much I put on, it just looked horrible and cakey. And then after I put on my powder, even if I did like a light amount, and my powder that I use, it's not on my favorites list, it's the Too Faced Peach powder. I'll put a photo up. I do really like that powder, but anyway, it just looked awful, and it was like powdery and flaky and horrible, and part of that was the acne and part of that was the foundation. But I thought, you know what? I don't want to lighten my coverage because I'm breaking out a lot, but I need my skin to look a lot more natural. So I thought maybe a setting spray is the answer, because I'd been watching like a lot of Jaclyn Hill videos at that period in time, and she was talking about how she has dry skin, and the setting spray helps to like meld everything together. And it's so true. If you are struggling with skin texture after you put all of your makeup on, including like your powder and foundation or whatever you're putting on, and you're not using a setting spray, get a setting spray. It doesn't have to be this one. I do like this one because it really does keep my setting spray lasting for, it says 16-hour wear. I don't think I wear my makeup for 16 hours typically, but like I can put this on before my workday starts at like 8, and then when I take off my makeup later in the day at like 6 or 7 after coming home, my makeup still looks great. Like not perfect by any means, but I would highly recommend this if you are struggling with, like I said, texture after you put all of your makeup on, or maybe your makeup is like creasing or, you know, sliding around or coming off. Use a setting spray. I would highly recommend this one. So my next favorite is my Replica by the Fireplace perfume, and I mentioned this a lot, especially in the fall, because I do consider this a fall perfume. I mentioned it a lot. I think it was in my what I wear in a week video, so I'll link that up above. But this, like it nailed the fragrance with the name, like by the fireplace. It smells like you're sitting in a warm, cozy room where like all the chairs are leather or like warm upholstery, and the fire's going and there's like spices in the air, and it really transported me to By the Fireplace. And this perfume is a little bit more on the expensive side, but seriously, if I do more than 3 sprays, like it's so intense. Like if I spray this on after I've put on like my outerwear for the day, and then I go throughout my day, and at the end of the day I like hang my coat back up, the next time I go to grab that coat or jacket, it will still smell like this perfume, even like weeks later. So yes, it's expensive, but after buying it and using it, I realized it is so worth the money. Like I used this for like 3 months straight, and look at that. Isn't that insane? Like it's still got so much product left in it. I actually bought this for my mom for Christmas, or like I got her a sample set of this perfume, and then they also do 2 other perfumes called Whispers in the Library and Jazz Club, which I have not personally tried myself. This one's my favorite. But if you are looking for a perfume that is extremely long lasting and powerful, it doesn't have to be this one. They also make some other perfumes that I really like what's the other one? Beach Walk I really enjoy. I just haven't gotten that much use out of it because to me that is a summery fragrance. But I would highly recommend the Maison Margiela Replica fragrances if you are looking for a new perfume and you haven't tried them yet. They are just so worth the money. And this one smells really cozy. Okay, so this next favorite is my only fashion favorite because, you know, I tried to wear my clothing as much as I could this year, but it was hard because I do live somewhere. I live in Virginia where the seasons do affect, you know, what you have to wear on a day-to-day basis, not like Southern California where we will be moving in a few weeks. But there was no one clothing item that I was able to get consistent enough wear out of that like could work for all of the seasons we have in Virginia, and that, you know, I just wore often enough, because the only times I really dressed up were like the few times I would go to work like at the beginning and the end of the year, and I would dress up to take photos for like my Instagram, which if you haven't already, please go ahead and follow me over on my Instagram at Caitlin Mahina. I am trying really hard to make it to 5,000 followers over there on my Instagram. I know I can do it this year in 2021, so please go ahead and follow me over there if you want to see me styling my clothing in real life. But aside from Instagram and work and like the occasional errand like grocery shopping, I just didn't wear my clothes enough. So this fashion item is an accessory, and if you're already a subscriber of my channel, or you may have seen it in the thumbnail for this video, I bought my first ever designer bag this year, and here it is. It is the Prada Re-Edition 2005 bag. It is the crossbody nylon bag that you can wear in multiple different ways with just the chain strap or the crossbody, or you can even use this crossbody strap as a belt. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on this because I will link my video up above of the full review and what I love about this bag. I would definitely recommend watching that video if you are interested in purchasing this bag, or just interested or curious at all about this bag, or you want to know about my experience buying my first ever designer bag. And you might be thinking, especially if you're a subscriber, like, Caitlin, you just bought this bag in December. Yes, I know I just bought this bag in December, but I could not get enough wear out of this bag during my Montana vacation, which again, I'll have a video up next week. It is just so useful. It is so practical. Like, I can just have this crossbody and forget about it. Like, it is the most practical, useful, amazing bag that I've ever purchased. Like, I thought that this would be kind of like, you know, cute, I could get some use out of it. It ended up being so useful, like this funny little pocket, and I have styled it so many different ways. I've worn it with just the chain strap, I've worn it with the crossbody strap. So that's all I'm gonna say about this, because I did do like a 20-30 minute video about this bag that, again, I'll have linked up above. Please go check that video out if you haven't already. It is at this time my most watched video on this channel. I'm hoping it'll get to 1,000 views soon. I think it will. But yeah, absolutely love this bag. Please check out the video, and that's all I would say. Okay, 2 more favorites, and these are what I would consider lifestyle favorites. And so this year, 2020, was the year of the Nintendo Switch. And you might be thinking, Caitlin, why do you have like the version that doesn't have the like the side thingies, the side controllers that you can like take off and use as like a controller for like a TV screen or whatever? And that's just because at the time that I bought this in like late March. I think we've been in lockdown for, no, I bought this in April. Yes, in April. We've been in lockdown for like a month and a half at that point, and I was going insane. Like, I had fully cleaned the house like multiple times. You know, I was doing my work. Obviously, I was working from home, my 9 to 5. I had taken as many Instagram videos and photos as I thought I could, and what else was I doing? I had watched so many shows. I had been scrolling endlessly on my phone. I needed something else to keep me entertained, because I was trying to go kind of stir crazy. And I remember just like talking to my husband, and I was like, I need the Switch, especially because Animal Crossing New Horizons, which is the one and only game that I have on this Switch, especially because that game became really, really popular this year, and I was obsessed with Animal Crossing, I think New Leaf? On the DS, I don't remember which one it was. I believe it was New Leaf. On the Nintendo DS, I played that game for years, like for literally years. Like, after everyone had already moved on to the next version of Animal Crossing, which I think was like, I don't know, City something, I was still playing Animal Crossing New Leaf because I was just obsessed with that game. And so when I kept seeing it all over social media, I was like, I need a Switch and I need Animal Crossing. And at that time, it was really, really hard to find a Switch. So this was like one of 3 Switches in my, like, within an hour of where I live, and it was like randomly at a Target. And I didn't feel like I needed the full-blown Switch with like the controllers like I just talked about, because I don't want to play any other game on my Switch. I only want to play Animal Crossing. And, you know, my husband kept saying like, oh, just wait until they have the other version out. And like, you know, maybe I should have done that, but to be fair, like, my husband was gone a lot of this year, and it's not like we were having a ton of people over, so I wasn't about to like play Super Smash Bros like with the controller with a ton of people, which is why my husband said that I should wait, because, you know, he had interest in the Switch as well, like to play with like his friends or whatever, but that just never ended up happening this year. So I got so much use out of it. I still spend like 30 minutes a day, you know, weeding my island and doing all my little tasks and stuff, and I still love Animal Crossing. And honestly, there were some moments during this year when I would have like really, really low moments, or I'd be really stressed out or whatever, or just extremely bored, and turning this on and just playing like 30 minutes of Animal Crossing just put me in such a good mental state, and it made me feel so relaxed and calm. And so this, I don't want to say it like saved my life, because that's really dramatic, but this was a really cathartic part of 2020 that I didn't see coming into my life this year, but I'm really, really glad that it did. So if you have not gotten a Switch yet and you're thinking about it, or you haven't gotten Animal Crossing yet and you used to play one of the other versions, I don't know why I'm gesturing with this thing, definitely pick yourself up a Switch, especially now. I'm sure they're easier to get than they were earlier this year. Okay, and my last favorites are shows, and I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't mention some shows, because like, what else did we do this year? I think shows and consuming media, even though they're not like the best for you, were kind of something that bound a lot of people together in 2020, you know, whether it was like talking with your family and saying like, oh, I watched that too, or, you know, just keeping up with social media, and like different websites talking about shows or memes or whatever. Like, 2020 was definitely the year of like the streaming services, and my first favorite is The Witcher, and my second favorite is The Umbrella Academy. And I don't know what it was about those shows. There were a few shows and movies that I watched like multiple times in 2020. Like, I watched Pride and Prejudice like 4 times since it's been on Netflix. But both of those shows were shows when I finished the last episode that they had available, like The Witcher only has 1 season and Umbrella Academy has 2 seasons. The second I finished it, I was like, God, I gotta watch that again. And I did. Like The Witcher, I believe The Witcher actually came out in late 2019, but I am considering it a 2020 show because, you know, most of the hype that was generated around it within the media did happen in early 2020. And I've watched The Witcher 3 times through, and I watched it the first time the very, very end of 2019. Like, I binged the entire thing while I was traveling to Montana. I took a Montana winter Christmas trip again in 2019, and I binged it. Like, I downloaded it so I could watch it like through the plane ride, which was kind of awkward in some scenes because it is a little bit raunchy. And then we got to my parents' house, and my brothers and I were both there for Christmas, and we watched it with my family again. So I watched it twice in like a week. And then I got home from Montana, waited a month, and then watched it again. Like, I just love The Witcher. I'm not gonna like give away too much about it, but something that I really enjoy about it is I love like the fantasy genre. I love fantasy, I love science fiction. I prefer it to shows that are more about like everyday life, because for me it's like I don't want to go through my everyday life now that I'm like a full-fledged adult and then go home and watch a show that's about adults working and living their everyday life. Like, I want to escape into something. And I love The Witcher for the plot. I do. I really do love The Witcher for the plot. Henry Cavill as Geralt of Rivia. I mean, yeah, he was amazing. But I really like the concept of it. I was really able to get like fully immersed into the world of The Witcher. And for those who are not familiar with it, The Witcher books were written, I'll put the date here, but they precede the Game of Thrones books, because I know a lot of people, my husband included, were like, oh, I don't want to watch The Witcher because it's like they're just trying to copy Game of Thrones. That is not true. If you think that The Witcher is like a copy of the Game of Thrones genre or the Game of Thrones show, or it's trying to like, you know, get that same hype, The Witcher is a series of books that was written before the Game of Thrones books came out. Then it was turned into a series of video games, which I never myself played, but my brother Tristan really got into the video games. And weirdly enough, I remember watching him play them when we were in high school and thinking that it was like a really interesting world. And then I kind of forgot about them. And then when the show was released, I was like, wait, I recognize this. I never watched the books, or I never read the books. That is on my to-do list for books that I want to read. But if you're into fantasy, you want to see Henry Cavill kick ass and look amazing and wear leather pants. And you know, you need a new show to watch, and you haven't given Witcher the time of day for whatever reason. If you're like the 1% of the population that hasn't done it, watch The Witcher. The first episode is weirdly enough my least favorite, so get through that one, and I hope that you watch it and thoroughly enjoy it as much as I do. I got so into it that I was like researching like backstory, you know, I would like pause the show and be like, please explain, you know, this element of the story. Like, I would look it up on Wikipedia or whatever, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I really got into the world, and I cannot wait for season 2. I like that there was just enough character development and the world was really well built, and highly recommend that show. The second show that I really got into, I don't know why I'm still gesturing over here. I think I'm just gonna put images up because I'm like, this is The Witcher, this is Umbrella Academy. But the second show I really got into is Umbrella Academy, and I got into it very recently. I didn't watch season 1 when it first came out because admittedly, I thought it looked kind of childish because I kept watching the previews and I was like, there's a talking monkey. It's literally about child superheroes. Like, this looks childish and silly. I just didn't really get into it. And then it wasn't until, I almost said Vanya Hargreaves. It wasn't until Elliot Page came out as transgender, and there were a lot of people commenting on Facebook articles about it saying like, oh my gosh, is he gonna reprise his role as Vanya Hargreaves? And I was like, dang, like a lot of people are really worried about you know, Elliot's role in this show. Like, I didn't realize it had such a fan base, and I was doing more research on it, and that's when I learned that it's actually based on a comic book written by Gerard Way. And if you don't remember, if you're not familiar, Gerard Way was the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. And weirdly enough, this year I got into a early 2000s punk pop phase. That's hard to say, probably because of all the angst surrounding this year. And I was like, what? Like, he wrote a comic book and they made a Netflix show about it? Like, what could that possibly be about? I love The Umbrella Academy, okay? If you have not watched it and you think, oh, it's cheesy, it's children's superheroes and a talking monkey, that is so far from what it's actually about. Like, it's about, you know, children growing up as superheroes in the public eye, and then like the sort of fallout from that. And it's dark. Like, it's not like, you know, Marvel can get pretty dark, not as dark as DC, but it deals with some really intense adult themes. It can get honestly pretty violent at times, and it's, I don't know, it's like, take a superhero show and make it dark, not as dark as The Boys, and like cheeky and funny and snarky and sarcastic and stylish, and an amazing soundtrack and characters that you just get really invested in, you fall in love with, and you have The Umbrella Academy. It is so good. It also deals with time travel, which is kind of like, that's like a subset of the fantasy fiction genre that I'm really interested in. Sometimes it can get a little confusing as a genre, but if you really pay attention and you go through the episodes without like scrolling your phone, it's easy to follow through the time travel part, and it adds a layer to it. That makes it just really, really interesting. And yeah, it's a superhero show that is not for kids, and it is very nuanced, and you know, it's not necessarily the good guys win and the bad guys lose. Like, it's really good. So if you haven't watched it already, highly recommend it. And that is all I have to finish up my 2020 favorites video. I really, really enjoyed filming this video. Again, if you haven't already, please go ahead and follow me over on my Instagram to see sort of my day-to-day life. I do post pretty frequently there on my stories. It's a goal of 2021 for me to post more regularly on my Instagram stories and not just have my life be, you know, 100% like, you know, my filtered, highly posed images. Again, I'm trying to get to 5,000 followers there, so if you could follow, if you haven't already, that would mean the world to me. And if you haven't, please subscribe down below. I'm trying to get to my first 100 subscribers here on YouTube, and I suddenly shot from like 30 to 50 after my Prada unboxing, so that was really, really encouraging. But I want to keep that momentum going, so please subscribe if you have not already. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you had a pretty decent 2020, as good as it could be. And that's all I have for today. I hope your 2020 wasn't too awful, and I hope your 2021 is just so much better than 2020. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!